Module 1 explores some basic information about how the reading process develops. In this module, you will build understanding of the role neuroscience plays in reading, understanding of research theories that inform our knowledge of reading, and understanding of foundational skills proficient readers use. Consider for a minute what you know about how people learn to read. Why are some successful? Why do some struggle? To understand the answer to these questions, teachers of reading need to understand what is required to be a proficient reader. Let's begin by exploring the neurological process that occurs during reading. For the past few decades, neuroscientists have been diligently studying what systems are used in the brain when people are reading. The findings from fMRIs identify neural activity to help us better understand the cognitive processing at work when reading. One of the most important things to understand about reading is that it is not a natural process. It is a learned skill. Our brains are not naturally wired to connect the sounds of our language with print and then translate that into meaning. Like learning to drive a car, play a musical instrument, or lay brick, reading requires us to learn, build, and integrate several foundational skills simultaneously. Think about something you do really well. How did you develop that ability? More than likely, you engaged in lessons on a regular basis with someone who was proficient. You then practiced on a regular basis and added more difficult skills to the existing foundational ones to continue developing. The repetition across time allowed you to perform certain tasks with automaticity and proficiency. The pathway shown provides a visual representation of the learning or neuron building process. This pathway most likely developed by someone or something traversing the same way over and over. Eventually, the grass stopped growing and a clear visible path was formed due to repetition. This is what is needed when teaching reading and having students read over and over again, because again, we know that reading is not a natural process. In the same way, our brains can form pathways and even reorganize itself, allowing it to access various areas and form neural connections. Repetition helps to build strong neural connections, while lack of practice or use weakens connections. fMRI scans have shown 4 primary areas of the brain that are activated in proficient readers. The first area that activates is the occipital lobe. This is where the brain sees and recognizes the print as useful symbols. Next, 2 areas work simultaneously to recognize the word. The parietal lobe works to match sounds to the symbols recognized by the occipital lobe, and the temporal lobe works to register the combination of sounds as a known word. The temporal lobe is also working to assign meaning to the known word. Finally, the frontal lobe is activated as the words are pronounced. All of this happens in milliseconds. This knowledge helps teachers to recognize the complexity of the process, the importance of regular practice on the part of the reader, and identify where a struggling reader might need targeted areas of support. Now that we've looked at the neuroscience behind reading, let's take a look at some of the theories that have stood the test of time related to reading instruction. The simple view of reading was first posed by Gao and Tunmer. Building off current research available at the time, they suggested that reading comprehension, or understanding of text, occurs when the reader proficiently applies word recognition skills and language comprehension skills. In 2001, Hollis Scarborough expanded on the simple view of reading. Her theory stays true to the simple view in that word recognition and language comprehension is needed for proficiency. She expanded upon the simple view by delineating the sub-skills for word recognition and language comprehension, bringing clarity in the connection between theory and instruction. In 2021, Duke and Cartwright expanded upon the simple view of reading and the reading rope by considering how active self-regulation impacts the reading process. Active self-regulation considers a reader's motivation and engagement with the text. the ability to focus and mentally prioritize the reading task and apply word recognition and language comprehension skills. Active self-regulation, along with word recognition and language comprehension, leads to reading comprehension. Duke and Cartwright's theory also accounts for cultural background, content knowledge, and experience with various types of text. Neuroscience and reading theories have provided insight on the foundational skills that must be in place for proficient reading to develop. Understanding what neural pathways must be solidified and, theoretically, the instruction needed to build those pathways has helped reading experts determine 5 foundational skills that lead to proficient reading. Before we look at the 5 foundational skills, there are 2 terms that are important to understand: phonemes and graphemes. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in a word and makes a difference in its pronunciation and meaning. For example, if you change the s in sat to p and pat, it changes both what you hear and what the word means. There are only a total of 44 phonemes in the English language. What can make English so challenging is that these 44 phonemes are represented by over 250 graphemes, individual letters or letter groups that correspond to a single sound. As an example, the long A sound can be represented by one letter as in the word AI as in rain, AY as in day, AE as in cake or plate, EA as in steak, EIGH as in 8, EY as in they, or EI as in reindeer and neighbor. Phoneme development plays a prominent role in phonological awareness. Phonological awareness is the ability to hear, identify, and manipulate sounds in spoken language. The focus is on sounds rather than letters, and the activities tend to target sound manipulation, so readers do not need to see the print in order to engage in phonological awareness instruction. Kathleen Jasper describes phonological awareness as something that you can do with your eyes closed. In primary instruction activities, students tend to blend sounds, segment sounds, add sounds, delete sounds, or substitute sounds. For example, readers might be asked to listen to 3 sounds, k, I, d. They would then be asked to blend those sounds together, creating the word kid. Or they might be asked to listen to a word such as dog and provide the 3 sounds they hear in the word, d, g. Adding sounds involves starting with a word such as am and asking readers to add the sound to the front of the word and provide the word they now hear, ram. Deleting sounds involves listening to a word such as stop and asking readers to take away the sound s, then asking them what the word is now. Finally, the highest and most complex skill is substitution. This involves asking a reader to listen to a word such as car, asking them to take away the k sound, add the b sound, then produce the word they hear, bar. Phonological awareness can also involve identifying if words rhyme, how many syllables are in a word, if a series of words have alliteration, or identifying the first sound in a word. This skill is the most important of the 5 because a reader must be able to hear the sounds of the language before they can begin connecting graphemes to the sounds. Phonics instruction provides students with the knowledge and practice of connecting phonemes with graphemes. Unlike phonological awareness, print is a key component of phonics instruction. While curriculums might vary, instructional sequencing typically progresses from simple associations to more complex ones. For example, students will usually learn consonant letter sound connections, short vowel letter sounds, digraphs such as CH, SH, TH, and WH, then begin blending consonants like BL, ST, CR, and so on. Long vowel representations are usually tackled next, starting with A consonant E sounds. Once these are established, more advanced skills are introduced. If a reader is struggling to decode words or read fluently, they may need additional phonics instruction or intervention to build stronger neural pathways in the parietal and temporal lobes. Fluency is the ability to read text with accuracy, automaticity, and prosody, otherwise known as expression. When students read fluently, they can recognize words quickly and smoothly, which allows them to focus more attention on meaning. Fluency is closely tied to comprehension because slow, labored reading can interfere with understanding. As students build phonics knowledge and gain practice reading, it becomes more automatic and expressive. Fluent reading sounds natural and supports deeper engagement with text. Vocabulary is the ability to determine and understand the meaning of words used in a text. A strong vocabulary helps students make sense of what they read and supports both comprehension and communication. As students encounter new words in reading, conversation, and instruction, they build the background knowledge needed to understand increasingly complex text. Vocabulary development happens over time and is strengthened through direct instruction, wide reading, discussion, and repeated exposure to words in meaningful context. Vocabulary words are often identified in different tiers to indicate the frequency with which a word might be heard or read. Tier 1 words are commonly identified as everyday conversational words. Tier 2 words are academic focused and used across multiple contents and subjects. And Tier 3 words are considered domain specific, meaning they are only used within a targeted context. Providing explicit direct instruction for Tier 2 words can have a positive impact on readers' vocabulary development and strengthen comprehension. Finally, comprehension is the ability to extract meaning from text, and it is the ultimate goal of reading. There are 3 primary levels of comprehension. The literal level involves understanding information stated directly in the text. The inferential level requires readers to combine information from the text with their background knowledge to make meaning. The evaluative level is the deepest level and asks readers to make judgments, analyze the author's purpose, or form opinions based on what they have read. All of the foundational skills work together to support comprehension because students must decode accurately, read fluently, and understand vocabulary in order to fully make sense of text. Reading is a complex process that involves multiple areas of the brain working together. Research shows that reading is not a natural process in the same way that spoken language is, so instruction plays a critical role in building the necessary neural pathways. Proficient reading depends on a set of foundational skills, including phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. As we reflect, we should think about how these skills develop, how they connect to one another, and what that means for effective instruction.